Thank you, Pat. Glad he's back with us and hale and healthy. Speaking of Rowan College, and we've been talking about that, and of course Frank is going to be becoming our president in June and continue into the 04-05 year of Broadcast Pioneers. We have as our guest the Dean of Rowan University. He came from California State University, San Bernardino. He served as the Associate Dean of the College of Arts and Letters prior to Cal State. He was at Marshall College, acting chair as well as director of graduate studies for the Department of Communications. In addition to California State, he has taught in Morningside College, the University of Arkansas, Kansas State Teachers College. So you see, this is his first time to the East Coast. But Dr. Monroe received his master's in speech in 1966 from Emporia, Kansas State University, and his PhD in communications in 1978 from the University of Nebraska. On August of 2003, he became the Dean. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker, Dr. Craig Monroe, Dean of Rowan University College of Communications.
Thank you, Bill. I need to tell you, if I seem rushed, it's because Frank said I only have 10 minutes. And Frank means what he says.
You're the boss telling you got 20.
No, he threatened me. He threatened me bad. He said I had a very long hook. And if I exceeded by a lot of time, and Frank, this should not be on the clock. If I exceeded by a lot of time, he would simply jerk me off the stage. For those of you who don't know Frank well, though, his bar almost always exceeds his bar. Because I looked over there, and I didn't see a hook. And if it's a very long hook, I guarantee you it could not be concealed on his person.
How are you getting home?
So much for the obligatory short joke. Seriously, as Henry VIII said to each of his wives, I will not keep you long. And before I begin with my prepared remarks, I would like, on behalf of Melissa and Kristen and the College of Communication at Rowan, to thank this organization. We have a lot to be grateful for, to you. This is the fourth Broadcast Pioneers function that I have been at, and I have enjoyed thoroughly each of them, and I have learned something from each of them. You may not know, although I suppose most of you do, that they are contributing an archive to the college, which will be housed at Rowan University in the library. And when good things start, good things tend to cascade. Once that was set in place, we got the archive from the Ad Club of Philadelphia, and now we're getting an archive from New York communicators up in the big state. We will have the largest housed archive at Rowan University, and that would not have started had it not been for this organization. Grateful as I am for the scholarships for our students and for the support that you have given us, I am most grateful for the learning opportunities that you provide to each of the young people here today and to the students at my university who participate in the symposium and hear things that they oftentimes hear in class and give lip service to, but don't really believe until someone who is really credible, that is, someone who has a job in the industry, tells them the same thing. I am committed to finding multiple ways in which the academic world as it is represented in my college can fuse itself with the real world out there where careers are made and founded to educate the students at Rowan. And I could not have started with a better organization in that endeavor. And I very much appreciate what you do. Okay, you can start the clock now, Frank.
It's almost finished.
I thought I would spend a few minutes talking about what I see going on in the industry and correspondingly what we are trying to do within our college. And you know, academe always tries to stay up to date with what is happening in the real world. Usually we're not more than 15 or 20 years behind. Actually, in our case, we're doing some anticipation. And as I described some of the movement, hopefully you'll be able to see where those linkages lie. Let me talk a little bit about my sense of change that you face in your professional lives. And this is nothing new to you. I just want you to know we know about it. One source of that change, of course, is technology. And I'm not going to go through a long litany on this. I have a 20-minute speech I did on this. But let me share with you my favorite example, because you may want to use it in a speech in the future. Some 20 years ago, IBM introduced the Cray computer. And for a mere $10 million a copy, you could have one, as long as you had a space about the size of this room to place it in. And at the time, IBM referred to it as the ultimate in computing power. If you happen to have a Palm Pilot on your person, take it out and look at it and realize that it's got the same computing power that monstrosity had. And most of the change, certainly most of the change in hardware, much of the change in transmission, and much of the change in reception that characterizes your industry is driven by technology. But there's a second trend, which many of us are concerned with, and that's the concentration of power in the media sector as more and more mergers occur and more different forms of media come together under the same roof. Some of you, no doubt, remember and have learned from the AOL Time Warner merger that happened some time ago and didn't work out very well. And it didn't work out very well because once they got together, they didn't know what to do with each other. But I would ask you, why do you think Comcast wants to buy Disney? Do you think they want to get in the vault and get those wonderful old films out? I'm sure that's part of it. I have a feeling it's because Comcast recognizes the immense potential which is already being realized in regional markets around the country for convergent media. Now, this particular phenomenon originated principally within journalism-related fields. And let me tell you about the example I am most familiar with in Tampa, Florida, where the Tampa Tribune and Channel 8, which is the major outlet, television outlet for that region, were consumed by the same corporation, housed in the same new building, and suddenly they decided in an unprecedented attack of the smarts, why is it that we don't collaborate? Why is it that we are in constant competition with each other? The editor-in-chief said maybe we started asking those questions because we only had one conference room and we were fighting over it. And as a result, what they have done is create a converged media environment which has worked out very well for them. What they do is take major news stories and they put teams together from the television station and the newspaper, working journalists who are and charged with finding a convergent way to cover this stuff, and take advantage of three different media and the uniqueness of each. From print media, they are able to get the detailed, in-depth, investigative kind of reporting that you can't achieve on television, or even if you achieve it, you certainly can't air. From television coverage, they get the spontaneity. They get the personal coverage, and most critically, they get the vivid visual images to add texture and meaning to the story. And it is all converged on a website where they provide the browser, if you will, with interactivity, where they can do investigations for themselves to learn more and more about that activity. Now, why did they do that? Because they wanted to serve the consuming public better? I'm sure that that's why they would tell you they did it. And I'm sure that for some of them it was the major motivation. But for a lot of them, it was bottom line. The editor-in-chief estimates that their annual revenue from advertising increased by over $2 million. That is directly traceable to that kind of merger. And if you think about it, it makes sense. They can go to a client now and say, look, we can advertise your product, or we can advertise your service, and we give you choices.
We can present these messages in multiple ways, and we can do it in ways that are user-friendly for the consuming public. And it has worked for them. And I think it is the way to the future. I would argue that probably most of us who are not award recipients at least, may not live to see it. But I think we will, this globe will see a day in which media is so much a natural part of the context in which people live that we won't even be aware that what we're dealing with are mere images. That's where virtual reality will take us. And let me tell you, higher education by and large is not preparing people for that new age. So let me tell you what we're trying to do at Rowan. When I came here in August, one of the first things I realized about the media departments and media programs was that we were missing some pieces. And so the first strategy that we are engaging in is to fill in those pieces, like we just made a hire in broadcast journalism. The first of several hires that we're going to make as we make that a viable track within the journalism program. And by the way, we got a dandy. We are introducing curriculum to support a much more multifaceted approach to the study of communication generally than we had to heretofore. I was amazed to find out that Rowan did not have a curriculum in web design. Guess who's going to get it? And those courses are on the table and ready to go into the process because I just think it's criminally stupid that an institution that size has avoided that. There will be in September a brand new broadcast studio in which the broadcast journalism professor will work, as well as 2 functioning audio production studios. Keith is very, very happy with this, that we are retrofitting in cooperation with our Department of Engineering, which will allow them to produce broadcast quality audio productions. And that, I think, is a giant step forward. In terms of our co-curricular program, which is extraordinarily active, I want, Frank doesn't know this yet, I want to encourage Frank as the manager of GLS, the person who is the advisor to Rowan Radio, the person who is the advisor to the WHIP, which is our student newspaper, the person who is the advisor to Cinema Workshop, which is our film co-curricular group. I want them to explore the possibility of taking, experimenting with an issue and using our website as a focus for convergence, so that students will begin to practice in practical experiences within the curriculum what is happening in the industry. But we're going to have to go far beyond that. If you'll look on your tables, and I'm sorry, I don't think I brought enough copies, you'll see a yellow sheet of paper. And you looked at it and you probably thought somebody was playing tic-tac-toe. Actually what it is a version, a working version, of a certificate program in integrated digital communication that we plan to propose next fall. There are programs like this elsewhere. There's one at Drexel, for example. We tend to covet Drexel's laboratory in that regard. But this one is somewhat unique. It's unique in the sense that it is not a self-contained program, rather it is a multidisciplinary program. We are going to be working with our colleagues from the College of Business in Management Information Sciences, our colleagues in engineering in terms of virtual reality, our colleagues in the fine and performing arts in terms of graphics and graphic technology, as well as all the media forms that are present within our College of Communication. And we're going to start with an introductory course which gives participants in this certificate program the theoretic and conceptual base on which they will learn to merge media. And that will involve everything from a solid grounding in aesthetics, to the principles of visual communication, to principles of perception, etc. And as you look at the menu in the middle, they will then select from a variety of different media enough curriculum so that they become competent in at least rudimentary forms of delivery. But beyond that, develop the vocabulary and the perspectives that will allow them to work with specialists from that area as part of teams who put together Converged Media. And the end product of this will be a capstone seminar in which students will be placed in teams, will go out into the real world, and will put together Converged Media products for real live clients out there. I believe that as this program matures and grows, it will give our students what they need to be media specialists in the 21st century. The other thing I will tell you is we are committed to the notion of students going out there into the real world. I applaud the effort that you have made to connect yourself with a variety of institutions in this area. But you probably will get a telephone call from me now, if not now, in the near future, in which I say, you know, we got this team of kids who are doing X, and they need a laboratory in which to work, a real live laboratory into which to work, and that's when you'll pay me back for the time I just spent behind this microphone. I do appreciate this opportunity. We invite you to come to Glassboro. We invite you to come to the College of Communication and let us show you around, because we are proud of who we are and what we do. And we are especially proud of the students we serve. Melissa and Kristen, congratulations. This simply represents a bunch of students who are achievers, and we are very proud of them. Thank you for the time.